do you think that if that girl didn't do those mean things to you, whatever she did, that those bad things would have not happened, or do you think that maybe they still would have occurred?
Hello, hello. Welcome again to another episode of Atheist Vanguard. My name is Derek Hawke.
I'm Jim.
I'm Shane.
Alrighty, y'all. You ready to jump into our interview for today?
Let's
do it.
Hi, my name is Shane Isgrig. I'm here with the Atheist Vanguard. Can I get both of your names?
I'm Amaya Smith.
Amaya?
Melena Rock.
Good to meet both of you. Are both of you over the age of 18?
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. So we talked a little bit about karma. Both of you, from my understanding, is you believe in karma?
I believe in karma, yes.
Okay. Could I ask both of you to explain to me what you mean by karma? Could you kind of define that word in your own terms?
I just believe that what goes around comes around, to be honest. I believe like how you act or whatever is what you're going to get out of the world.
Okay.
I believe the same thing. However you treat somebody, they're going to treat you. It's vice versa.
Okay. Do you have any examples of something happening that has confirmed this belief to you that karma exists?
Well, there was someone, okay, so like in high school, I never really had a lot of friends, I guess, per se. And like, there was this girl and she was like really mean to me. And then she, let's just say some bad stuff happened to her that I personally didn't do.
Right.
Like I never really bothered to go after her. She just bothered to go after me for some strange reason.
Right.
And it bit her in the ass. That's all I have to say.
That happens. Anything similar to that, or just?
I mean, in general, but I can't give you a specific right off the spot.
Okay. So you had an example of someone in school being mean to you. Bad things end up happening to them. Do you think that if that girl didn't do those mean things to you, whatever she did, that those bad things would have not happened, or do you think that maybe they still would have occurred?
I honestly, just the way she acts in general to people, I believe that those bad things still would have happened. Like, I feel like if she just changed her attitude and the way she just presented herself towards other people, I feel like those things wouldn't happen to her. So I feel like it's honestly just about her attitude.
Okay. Do you think that maybe sometimes bad things happen to people and they weren't doing anything mean to deserve it, or do you think that usually when something bad happens, it's bad karma?
No, I think that like bad things are going to happen to you either way.
Right.
It's life, honestly. But I just try to, like, when bad things happen to me, I just try to make the best situation out of it. And, you know, like, you have to appreciate those small things in life.
I agree.
So, like, waking up every day is a small thing in life to me that I appreciate. That's good karma, in my opinion.
Okay.
Some people don't get that.
Okay, so do you think that in most cases, do you think that you have to earn good things happening to you, period, or do you think if somebody's a bad person that good things will not happen to them?
No, I think that if you're a bad person, good things are going to happen. Good things are going to happen in general.
Just less often, maybe?
Yes, just
okay.
less often.
Is there a criteria that you have to determine whether it's something good or bad happening to a person, whether or not it is karma? Like, how would you separate a bad thing happening to me and it just occurring versus something bad happening to me and it being a result of bad karma, something that I did?
I don't think there is a really separate way of saying it. I think that ultimately it's a big gray area.
It's a big gray area.
I mean, it's hard to really determine, oh, this was karma versus this is just something that's happening because bad things happen to good people all the time. So I think I understand where you're coming from with this conversation, because I know that you're trying to see, like, well, what's the difference between karma versus just bad things happening to somebody.
Right, what's the difference?
And I don't think there really is much of a difference, but
right.
I don't know. Your questions are good, and I have to really think about it.
Thank you. Okay. Well, just one last quick one. Is there anything that could happen that would potentially cause you to lose or even lessen your belief in karma as an existence?
Honestly, no.
No, you don't think anything would change your mind?
It's a lifestyle thing.
Maybe if you knew somebody who was very kind and just had what you would consider bad luck all the time, or vice versa, you think maybe that karma is just waiting on them or something?
Yes, honestly, because I've met some people who have been stuck in a rut for a really long time, and they're just the best people ever. And then, honestly, like, it takes time.
Takes time.
And then something like huge happens in their life, and they like good things start happening. Like life is a roller coaster. You have bad times, and sometimes those bad times just last longer than other times. Like I can personally experience that.
Right. All right. Well, I appreciate both of you for talking to me very much. It was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Well. Karma.
Karma kill you.
Sorry, I've been warned by our viewers not to sing anymore. Shane.
Not just your viewers.
Shane, awesome interview.
Thank you.
Great job. I have a question. Why? How did you get on the topic of karma with these two girls?
So interesting. So when I met both of them, I let them know what we were doing. You know, a lot of time when people are walking by, I let them know, like, hey, you know, do you have time for a quick interview? And, you know, we're interviewing people about gods they believe in, supernatural things. And both of these girls, I just want to say, I think we're both very reasonable, at least compared to a lot of the people I interviewed. I think that a lot of what they had to say was rooted in reality. While I don't agree with all of it, but it actually took me like a minute to find something that they believed in that I don't, because I asked them about a lot of things, you know, a God and then ghosts, and they're like, no, don't believe in that. No, don't believe in that. And then when I mentioned karma, they're like, yeah, I believe in karma. I was like, this is what this is about then.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I've never really made the connection between karma and religious beliefs, but there's a lot of similarities.
Well, my understanding is that karma originates from Hinduism.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Right. And I didn't get the feeling with these two that they actually thought of karma as a supernatural force.
I kind of did. And that's...
Yeah, I mean,
there's a reason why I asked them to define it in their own terms, and I want to mention both of their definitions. So Amaya, she said, I just believe what goes around comes around. How you act or whatever is what you're going to get out of the world. And what Milena said was, I believe the same thing. But then she continues to say, however you treat somebody, they're going to treat you. It's vice versa. So I would say that the definitions do slightly differ. And I actually think that Milena gave a definition of karma that I actually believe in. You know, how you treat a person is going to have bearing on how that person treats you, because people are inclined to be nice to people who are nice to them.
That's not a supernatural force.
Exactly. So that's like Amaya's definition kind of included that supernatural force, where Milena's different. But you'll realize that Milena did say, I believe the same thing before she said that.
I'm not sure that it's absolutely certain you can, from what goes around comes around, that you can actually say that's supernatural. I mean, it could have a supernatural component to it.
Right. So,
but that doing stuff is a physical thing.
Correct.
And if you do enough evil, evil's eventually, going to come back to you. If you live, we know that if you live a violent life, you're going to die violently. That's just a high percentage chance.
It's also like if you're rude to Derek, someone who really likes Derek, who isn't me, is probably not going to be very nice to you.
Throw that in.
Throw that in. No, but seriously, in real life, obviously, if you're rude to Derek and you need help, I'm less inclined to offer you help because you were rude to Derek, as to where if I saw Derek drop something and you picked it up for him, normally I'd do the nice thing for you anyway, but I would be more inclined to do a nice thing for you if I saw you do a nice thing for somebody that I care about.
But the flaw in what you were saying also is, a violent person is going to reap a violent life, but they're also going to get good things happen to her. So
you're saying a high percentage chance that they're going to end up dying of violence. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to have good things happen to them too.
Right, and she even said that, I think good things are going to happen even if you're a bad person. Right. So she doesn't think that karma is the only variable in whether good things or bad things are going to happen.
Now, let me ask you this. Aside from a supernatural definition, do you believe in karma yourselves in some fashion?
I think for a physical definition, or that depends on psychology and sociology, that, as a general rule, I mean, there's some exceptions to that. There are some narcissistic personalities and people who are really good at manipulating. Will they eventually get a comeuppance? Well, it kind of depends on how quickly they get found out and that kind of thing.
So for me, I would say that Milena's definition after the part where she said believes the same thing, when she said, however you treat somebody, they're going to treat you that way. Mm-hmm. And like I was kind of getting into, if somebody was rude to you, I would be less inclined to be polite to them for that reason. Yeah. That version of karma, I do believe in. And this is one of probably the first interview that's had me think this much about it, where I was like, how much do I agree with them? Because I don't disagree with everything they're saying. Mm-hmm. But Melena's definition, like while still being an adequate one, it's a little bit more realistic. It's a little bit more rooted in reality. Right. And what I found so interesting was that Melena's definition would have been perfect for Amaya's example of karma. Yes. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, I don't think either one of them were giving us necessarily giving us a hardcore supernatural.
I think I'd kind of disagree on that, because she does make it sound at the end like it's inevitable. You know, she says that I asked, would anything lessen your belief? And she said, honestly, no, right? And then I gave the example of what if a person who you knew was a really good person, bad things happen to them. And she says that like basically karma's just waiting on them. She thinks that, you know, good things are going to happen, that she knows people who have been amazing people and they're just stuck in a rut. But then she said something huge happens in their life and good things start happening. And so, and I honestly believe that when you say like what goes around comes around, you are implying something supernatural, because
yeah, you can definitely make that case. I'm just
I know that when I use that term, that's not what I mean. I mean that the more good deeds that I do, less likely it's going to be reciprocated. Now the difference when we talk about karma as a religious, even in Christianity, I don't do good things to seek reward. I do things because one, it makes me feel good, and two, I understand the benefits of others, and just one of the positive byproducts is that most likely, if I'm in a rut, somebody's going to help me. Right. That's the beauty of humanism.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly,
and I think karma too is a very passive aggressive type of deal. I don't have to do anything to you because somebody else is going to do something, or something else is going to take care of the problem.
Yeah, a lot of people say like, "Hey, if somebody does wrong to you, that's their karma," or you know, things like that. That's not as passive aggressive, but it's a little bit more of the same argument.
You know, when the girl was talking, you know how like, well, I didn't have that many friends, and there was this girl that was picking on me, and I don't know why, but she got hers. There was some joy in that.
Well, yeah, and I'm not
that she's a bad person.
Yeah, I don't think that either. I would kind of agree with her. I mean, have you ever watched like YouTube videos of instant karma? Yes. You see somebody turn and they yell at the other driver and flip them off, and it distracts them. And for the reason of them being so indulged in yelling at somebody and losing, you know, attention to the road, they turn off the road and they wreck their car. And you're like, you were being an asshole, and if you weren't, that bad thing wouldn't have happened to you. Like, that can be in a definition of karma.
You know what it is? To me, I'm sorry to interrupt you. To me, it's in a world that's so full of injustice, it's an example of justice in some fashion. For me, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think, you know, people are distracted driving is a bad thing. We know this. Whether you're distracted because you're flipping somebody else off, or distracted because you're seeing, you know, you're actually trying to do something good. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, taking your eyes off the road means increases the risk of running into something.
Right, regardless of if you're doing it.
You're cherry-picking incidences in which a negative behavior caused a negative impact on you.
Right.
Because of your own stupidity.
That's exactly it. It's cherry-picking the incidents where, okay, look, this time a person did a bad thing and a bad thing happened to them immediately. And then you go, well, we have some cases of some people being pretty bad people and living pretty happy lives. And then a lot of the time it's like, well, they'll get theirs, like you were saying. And so
it's very similar to what Christians, you know, say, oh, you're going to get AIDS because you're gay. God's punishing you. It's very similar. Whereas, you know, if you follow God's word, you're going to be blessed.
Yeah. Right. And to me, if
it's
karma,
treating the universe like a vending machine.
Yeah. And to me, if karma existed, you know, it wouldn't be like sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. It should be like inevitable. You did a bad thing happens to you. There should be like a time limit. I mean, we should be able to have ways to test it, and we really don't.
Right.
I know people who give me examples of like, oh, whenever I'm really down or I need money or something, I go do nice things and then good things start happening to me. And I'm like, okay, but let me ask you this. Do good things and bad things happen just being a part of life? Yes.
Right.
Okay. So is doing good things and doing bad things a part of life? Yeah. So anything good that happens to you, you can go, this is because of this good thing I did. Something bad happens to you, you think of the last bad thing you did. It's very easy to meet that confirmation bias when you believe in karma. It's so easy to meet that.
Right. And I think you need to show, cause and effect. And once you show cause and effect, it's no longer supernatural. It's well within the natural realm.
So I wanted to, on like the topic that you just mentioned. So what Amaya said exactly was, there was a girl who was really mean to her in high school, and she goes, let's just say some bad stuff happened to her, and she goes, that I personally didn't do, which also makes me think karma can be like an excuse if you did do something. I don't think that she did, just that if you did a bad thing, you can go, oh, that person got karma, that's probably what happened. Again, I don't think that that's what she meant, but she said, I never really bothered to go after her. She just went after me for some strange reason, and it bit her in the ass. But the thing is, so I don't have a lot of specifics. I'm not working with a lot of specifics here. What are bad things happening? But
I was an Air Force brat. We moved around a lot. Okay. And in some cases, we moved into places that were really, really tight-knit. And just my showing up was enough to cause people to not like me and to pick on me.
Right. New kid in school.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So that was the reason. But honestly, yeah, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. There is a reason if you go in deep just because you don't know what it is.
Right.
And it may not be a good one either, right?
I thought she said something funny. It was like, I didn't have that many friends. Why is that, girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, so since we're not looking at specifics, and I know that anyone criticizing my street epistemology, which I encourage, is probably thinking about, why didn't you ask for specifics? I felt like she didn't want to give specifics. I felt like she didn't want to name the girl on YouTube and all that, and that's why I was just being polite.
Yeah.
But bad things that happened, that could include, like we were saying with the car incident, the bad things happening to her could be direct consequences of the girl going after Amaya, whatever that means. So if maybe she started a rumor and everyone knew that the girl started the rumor and stopped liking her, there could be a natural explanation that would also entail that if the girl didn't do the bad things to Amaya, that the bad things wouldn't have happened to her. But Amaya said, that the way that girl acted just in general, then it goes into, you were saying, she just acted that way in general. Surely people were not going to like that girl very much, or there were going to be people who don't like her if she's not very nice.
Yeah, there was like an insinuation that there was some supernatural force keeping tally on all the bad things she did. And when she reached her final point, she's like, oh, I'm going to get you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like treating the world, the universe like a vending machine.
Yeah.
Right? I build up good credit until I get the candy. And that brings up the question is, are you doing it for the candy or are you doing it because it's good? And I think if you're doing it just for the reward, I'm not entirely sure that your motives are pure.
Yeah. There's a lot of fallacious thinking with this type of thing. Like everything must be fair. There must be an action for a reward for positive actions and a consequence for negative actions.
Right.
And, it's kind of a delusion that life must be fair or the universe is fair.
It's also an example of wanting to believe something and the desire for it actually leading to a belief in it, which doesn't always happen,
And it's also going back to how we are pattern seeking creatures. Mm-hmm. We're seeing this pattern. We're attributing this consequence to this event that is probably totally unrelated. This girl probably got her ass served her or whatever for something totally unrelated to this other girl, and we make the connection.
And it could be related, but like you were saying, it could be completely unrelated. But if you're her, like you said, that we're pattern-seeking creatures, we can go, I figured, you're a mean person. Look, some bad things happened to you. That has to have to do with you being mean.
It's kind of like, say somebody flips you off on the road, and then a week later you see their car's all banged up. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's karma.
Same example I gave earlier, except not instant, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And if you don't see the instant karma, someone could go, oh, they'll get theirs.
Right. Yeah.
And it gives you comfort. It's comforting. Yeah. There's another part of it right there.
And when you see something negative happen, they got theirs.
Yeah, or they will.
Then the question comes up. Let's say you have a a person who is working hard, they're the lights on, lights off person. They're the person who turns the lights on in the morning because they're there early. They turn the lights off there because they're there late. They're the hard worker. They're the one getting most of the work done. But because they never really they do all the work, they're never really noticed. So in their mind, they're building up karma, but the promotion never comes. The promotion goes to the loud guy, the loud person. The rewards and everything else goes to everybody else. But because this person is just always there, always doing stuff, and is never really out there. They're
recognized.
Yeah, and so can you imagine the rage that will build up if you believe in karma and you're the one that everyone turns to for questions and answers. You're the one that's always there doing this stuff. You're the one that's always helping out. You're the one that's always doing this stuff. And you're just waiting for karma.
There have to be doubts. Just like even some of the most fundamentalist Christians I know will tell you, everyone experiences doubts. I think even the people who most strongly believe in karma, I think sometimes when they have examples like that, they're going to start going, well, where's his karma? Right. Where's his karma?
Yeah, I was going to say, so you take the example of the person you just gave. They're good, they've done all this, and say something bad happens to them. Are we judging them and saying that, they must have done something bad because this is karma hitting them?
Right,
yeah,
right. And yet they're the one who's been doing all the good stuff. Yeah. And then you have the question of, what about the 6-month-old baby that has bone cancer?
Yeah.
What did they do? Or is that the parents' karma coming to bite them?
Or the politician that's taking advantage of all these people dies rich and
right. Yeah. Or just a politician who does who's taking bribes and kickbacks and everything else.
I think a lot of politicians would be a good example of karma not working out. And let's not name anybody, but let's just know that we can see that a lack of karma with some of these politicians.
Yeah, and if what some of the studies show that a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs have some narcissistic personalities and
didn't you tell me it was 100% of them? Because I was skeptical of that when I heard it.
I don't know if it was me. I just know that there are some, and the other problem is most of these studies are not done by psychologists who have interviewed the CEO.
Because I was going to say, I totally can believe that most CEOs are narcissists. I don't know that I can go with 100%. Like my skepticism kicks in immediately.
Yeah, and again, we're just looking for examples of.
No, I agree. That I just wanted to raise that question. It's slightly irrelevant.
It's hard to do that with psychology because it's not a hard science. It's like some people can have flavors of narcissism. Some people can have episodes of narcissism. Somebody can be blown out narcissist.
Some narcissists come off as masochistic at first, which is kind of crazy because they're almost the opposite. Yeah. But a lot, I
would think they would be sadistic too.
Yeah. Or what about the examples of the woman who kills her kids because her boyfriend doesn't want to have kids? We had that, 10 or 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was.
I heard about that, but
that's called the La Llorona.
Yeah. So what was her karma?
She is doomed to wander the earth as a spirit trying to find her babies and crying their rivers.
Right. So but okay, she ended up in jail. Okay, but you're killing your own children. Shouldn't that be a huge negative karma? Shouldn't she just be a walking cloud of bad stuff happening?
Not unless she accepts Jesus as her savior at the end of her life.
Yeah, but I mean, let's keep in mind that I know a lot of Christians who believe in karma, which kind of is like, how do you make that work? Yeah. But let's remember that these girls didn't believe in the Jesus
But it does bring up a good point. We've talked about this a lot, whereas you have the person that has lived a horrible life and has committed horrible things, and all they have to do is repent. Yeah. And it's all washed away.
Well, that's not karma. That's Christianity.
That's Christianity. But where is karma if we're looking at a case?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it totally debunks it.
Yeah. Christianity doesn't have karma ingrained in it. There just are Christians who like karma and tie it into their belief. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people we interview. But this girl, so she kind of talks about appreciating small things in life.
Like waking up?
Yeah, which I would have to slightly disagree. I think waking up is one of the most essential parts of life.
And it sucks sometimes.
And there's Folgers in your cup, right?
I enjoy my sleep, but I enjoy my sleep because I need it. So there's,
Because you can wake up.
Well,
there you go.
She was talking about gratitude. And
but also she goes like, she talks about waking up and she says, that's good karma in my opinion. Some people don't get that.
Well, it wasn't just waking up. It was waking up and being appreciative, I think, of what you had or something along those lines.
Well, what she said, I wrote this part down. She said, you have to appreciate the small things in life. So like waking up every day is a small thing in life. For me that I appreciate, that's good karma in my opinion.
Right.
Some people don't
yeah,
get
so
that.
it was the appreciation of small things. Waking up as an example of a small thing.
Okay, so...
But gratitude is one of those things that has been shown. If you take some time every day and count your blessings, so to speak, that can have a negative impact because it's so easy to get lost in all the things going wrong in your life that you don't pay attention to what's actually the good things in your life. And so not necessarily, again, that's an example, not necessarily something supernatural happening, but the result of just taking care of your own mental condition.
Yeah, good mental health practices.
Yeah.
Right. But waking up, like that's an example of something that has happened to everyone at some point.
Right.
So calling it good karma obviously entails that everyone has earned good karma. And I would have to say that I think this is where we see an example of where a belief in karma can become harmful. And I say this because when you say something like, when I wake up every day, that's good karma, maybe you might not mean it this way.
She's not saying when I wake up. It's appreciating the fact that I woke up.
Okay, right. But
I get your
we
point.
would go to sleep.
Right,
Would that be good karma?
Yeah, there are things that we all do that is good to us.
Right, but calling waking up something being good karma or appreciating it being good karma, it does entail that the people who didn't wake up today didn't earn that good karma or that they earned bad karma to not deserve it. And whether or not that's meant, I think that it's definitely implied. And I think it's disproven very easily by either a good person dying at a young age or much more easily by a person who isn't very good living to get old.
I'm with you. It was a weird example for her to give.
She was struggling for an example at that point. But like I said, paying attention to the small things that are good in your life and recognize them, I think, is the important part on that one. But again, small good things happen to all of us. Right.
Exactly. And appreciation happens to all of us.
But it's like with certain people with certain personalities where they have a more positive outlook, and you have those negative people, and I think that's what you're kind of gearing toward.
Well, it's not just that. It's just it has been shown that if you take some time and do that, you can really stay more positive. And it's easy to get lost in all the negative things that happen to us.
And I hope that all of our viewers who have depression are listening to what Jim just said about the gratitude list, because it's a great idea. You know, it's a great idea if you're struggling with depression to write about a gratitude list of the things that make you happy. And it definitely gives you a more positive attitude. So
right. Well, it helps along those lines, I think. But
yeah, I'm not calling it a cure. I'm just saying it's very helpful.
It's helpful for anybody, right? Because it is easy to get lost. We remember negative and bad things, I think, more than we do good things that happen to us.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, it's easy to remember a person insulting you. And it's like that saying of like, if you get 10 compliments a day and an insult, so many of us are just drawn to that insult. And all of us are guilty of it at some point. I'm glad that I'm not feeling that too much with comments because they're overwhelmingly positive. But yeah, there's some people that don't like me.
You don't have to read the comments.
Read you?
Yeah.
Don't read the comments.
Rule number 1, don't read the comments.
Okay, Derek. Okay, Derek.
Don't read the comments.
Coming from Derek, don't read the comment. I don't know. Like I said, though, most of them are really positive. But like I said, it's like if you have that mentality, you might stay stuck on that one person that said something bad about you. And I definitely, it would be bad for me if I did that too much.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
Yeah.
There's anything else you want to cover, Shane?
I did want to bring up her saying that she thinks if you're a bad person, good things are going to happen. They're just going to happen. Like good things are going to happen in general. And she was like, just less often. And it kind of obviously implies, I think I mentioned before, but like karma not being the only variable in good things or bad things happening, which is what led to my criteria question, right?
Yeah.
And when asked about like, how do you determine the good thing happening and it being a good or bad thing and it being karma that I earned versus it being one of those things that has nothing to do with karma.
Yeah.
And this is where we got, again, a very intellectually honest answer of, yeah, I don't know. She says it's a big gray area. She says it's hard to really determine, this was karma versus this something, just bad things happening. And she really seemed to understand the point of street epistemology. I didn't talk about those words with her, but she very clearly understood what I was going for. And she was right when I was trying to determine, how do you establish this?
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to hear her answer to ask if you'd asked, what about when bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people?
Yeah, I also should have asked at the beginning when she talks about the girl going after her, was that bad karma? And if it was, how do you know? If it wasn't, how do you know?
For who? Right. Bad karma for who? For her?
Yeah, Amaya. So, because some girl went after Amaya, and my thought is, did you deserve that? Yeah.
Right. Was the bad karma? Was the bad thing you did to rack up the bad karma points for that?
Yeah. And so there's a question that I missed. It happens. Also, just
so bad karma. I'm sorry. Bad karma can result in bad karma for somebody else.
No.
Well, yeah, because if she's had bad karma for her behavior that causes girl to pick on her, the bad karma would come to her.
Well, no, that would only be the case if karma was the only variable, right? Which she did say she doesn't think karma is the only variable. Like, she did say that bad things happen to good people and vice versa.
Right. But if karma wasn't that supernatural force, you bring up a good point. Person A is mean to person B, and so that causes bad karma for person C to come in and harm person A.
Yeah.
And so you have this constant bad karma, good karma. How does that work?
Yeah.
It would be interesting to find someone who was actually believed in supernatural forces for karma to actually answer that question.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that one day when we go to the Alamo and we interview people, if I ever interview somebody who's Hindu, this topic of karma will get brought up again, especially coming from a religion and not just, somebody having a belief that was kind of passed down through the way that it was.
Right.
See, I think the goal of karma in itself is to encourage people to do good things.
Yeah, well,
with the threat of something bad happening if you do bad things.
Yeah.
Very simplistic.
Yeah. And like Jim was saying, if you're only doing good things because you want something, and if you're only not doing bad things because you're afraid of punishment, then that doesn't mean that your motives are pure. It means you would prefer good things to happen and you'd prefer bad things to not happen.
Yeah, I don't think you're a good person if you're doing good things strictly for the reward.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. However, I will mention that I don't think that people who believe in karma generally only do them for the reward, just that the reward is a pretty big part of their inspiration to where I don't have that.
Yeah, the flip side is if you're only doing things to avoid punishment, are you really a good person? I don't think either of those things.
Yeah.
Avoiding bad things because they're bad makes you a good person. Doing good things because they're good makes you a good person.
Around that point of the interview, I asked, when I gave kind of like that example, I asked if there was anything that could even lessen her belief in karma. Mm-hmm. And, both of them actually said no. And so even when I gave that example, then she gets back into, if somebody's a good person and they're stuck in a rut, usually something huge happens in their life and good things start happening for them. So
she also, I thought the turn of phrase is interesting. Stuck in a rut as being, does that mean that they're stuck in doing nothing but good karma and not getting anything out of it? What did she mean by stuck in a rut?
I think she just meant going through a hard time.
Yeah.
So she was, totally. But that's most of what I had to touch on after the point of where she said, because that was the end of the interview when I was okay, so there's nothing that would change your mind. That's usually my last question.
Yeah.
Could anything change your mind or even lessen your confidence? Mm-hmm. So
I just want to briefly touch on something you brought up, because we've seen this topic come up with Atheist Experience, whereas religious people feel that they have to have this structure for them to do good. Is there anything wrong with that?
I don't know about wrong with it. It's why
if it's necessary,
I don't know that you can necessarily call yourself a good person if the only reason you're doing something is to avoid punishment.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That
but
would
what
mean,
if they feel that they need to have that threat for them to be compliant with certain, like say example, somebody who's on a drug rehab thing, whereas they have the threat of going to prison is the only thing keeping them from doing drugs.
That again, they're not. If the only reason they're doing that, then I would say they're not out of their addiction yet.
Yeah.
Right. So that means that they're not quote unquote clean. They're not out of that addiction phase and they may never be out of that.
Well, just for the record, you never become like not an addict anymore.
Right.
Like, and if you haven't had a drink in 20 years, you're referred to as a recovering alcoholic, not as
Right.
It's like,
let me take it on the flip side then. Me personally, I do a lot of good things for people, and I get a satisfaction. I get joy from doing nice things.
Yeah, you're evolved for that. You're totally primed for that.
But there is a cookie for me doing good things. It's this feeling of feeling good.
Well,
there you go.
It comes down to, are you doing it just for that?
Part of it is, yeah.
Well, again, and I said just, right, where it's more than, say, 50% of why you do it.
I can't quantify it, but there's a portion of me that is selfish in my good deeds.
I totally agree with that, and I would best describe that as doing selfless acts for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
It's like, I help you and I feel better. And then you can make the argument, someone could go, well, look, you're doing the same thing. You're doing it to feel better. Yeah. But
right, and again,
but like you were saying, it's not just that.
Yeah, it's not just that, and there's a lot of gray. I think you're really looking at what is the primary motivation.
Yeah.
Are you treating it like a vending machine?
Correct. Yeah. Right.
Right. Are you doing good stuff, expecting good stuff to happen? I'm not saying necessarily feeling good. We all want to feel good, et cetera. Right. But are you going to treat people like human beings because you're building up karma points or you want to go to heaven or any of these other things, then I think you run the risk of using people as opposed to really understanding them, because you're not going to – I don't know that you're necessarily going to pay attention to what they really need.
Yeah.
Right? You may do something good holding the door open for somebody, generally considered to be a good thing to do. But if you're just treating that person as a point,
or a bank,
are you really? And that's where I think
matter?
I think it does.
I think it does.
You think it does?
I think if you're using somebody in that way,
right,
you have stopped treating them as a means to an end and treating them as the end themselves.
But if there's a good deed being conducted and there's a benefit to whatever person the recipient is getting this need that they need or these need met, I mean, is that
no? Because I don't think the benefit is the only result.
Yeah.
So if it was only beneficial, then sure, I would agree with exactly that point. Mm-hmm. But because it's not only beneficial, I would say no.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those areas where you can kind of go around and come up with examples, and I don't know that they're as hardcore. Like a narcissist, for instance, will do lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
Because it feeds his narcissism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, say like a big company they have motivations to do charity work and everything. They do that because there's a benefit for them. The community receives a benefit too. I mean, is there?
So I think in that case you're looking at the company gets a benefit.
It's usually a monetary benefit or some type, or public points.
But that doesn't mean they're necessarily good because they're doing it for good PR. Especially if they're doing things that the good PR is covering up.
But the means end at a justification that is beneficial to the community.
Right. And again, it's looking at that. Are you doing it purely for that?
Yeah.
Right. And are you using the people as opposed to doing it because
so he's looking more at the effect. You're looking more at the intention. What I would say is that if that's the intention, then that won't always be the effect.
Right, yeah.
So that's where
That's a good discussion not for this episode, but definitely.
I think it's a great discsion in general. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because you get into that whole using people thing and listening to what they really need.
Yeah.
Donating, if your company donating $1 million to a nonprofit may not be the best thing in the world for that nonprofit. They may need other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the relief efforts for the Dorian hurricane, money is good for those folks, but that means they have to now spend time and energy to go and get the goods and services they need. Whereas if you donate the goods and services, right? So if you're that mythical company that's donating $1 million and for the good PR only, you're just using that to get the good PR.
Especially if that donation that you're giving is going to the government who's keeping it for themselves and restraining it.
Well, you get into that kind of stuff, right? That's
more karma.
That's where I'm starting to get into that whole using things, using people.
I see it.
As opposed to listening and really doing good, right?
Jim, is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, I'm good.
I am good.
I'm covered it all.
All right. So, is there any bad karma in your life? Some things that could help us, that could be helped by looking into the good book, because our religious friends, our religious friends will open this book and find an answer to issues that they're having in their life. So, I want to kind of do that with us with the book today. So, Shana, is there anything going on in your life? Any bad karma that you're getting that Jesus or God might be able to help you with?
That I want to talk about is the bigger question. But you know what? I am going to go with insomnia. Oh my God, it's awful. Dude, I have the time to sleep and am tired and am still awake.
Okay. I don't need the Bible to solve that. It's called Ambien.
Well, I think in a lot of cases, reading the Bible could help a person with their insomnia.
Yeah, especially all the begats.
Yeah, that might help me. That might work.
I was. You had mentioned in a previous episode about reading the Bible cover to cover, and
I didn't read it cover to cover. Just to be clear.
Well, you made me question if I have, because I always skip the begats. So I've read the Bible like 21 times, but I skipped the begats. So I don't know if I technically have.
Well, yeah, it's like one time when we interviewed a guy who was a Satanist who said he read the Bible. He said, well, there's a lot of stuff like Son of Shema, and you're like, okay, so there are parts that you skipped.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, though, because especially as an atheist reading it, just think about if you read the law, right? If you read rules that you follow, it's boring.
Yeah.
How much more boring is it to read a book of ancient rules that don't even apply to you? That's boring.
The begats aren't even rules. They're not even, they're not even stories.
They're space holders. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, what's your problem? What's your issues? What's your bad karma?
Bad karma. You know what? I've got this weird growth here on my thumb that I've had since I was in high school. I really don't know what it is.
From poking someone.
I don't know what it is, but that's kind of a problem. So let's see if there's an answer to fix this. And
I don't have any spots. I can't compare to that one.
I really don't have much planned about in my life.
I need to find a job, a job.
I hope you open it to the book.
There's an entire book.
Yeah, there's a whole book in there about that.
Right there.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna pick a random page in this book and read and see if that kind of answers our questions. I'm gonna go to 1 Kings chapter.
Kings, there's a job for you.
Chapter 9, verse 10. Now it happened at the end of 20 years when Solomon had built the two houses, the house of the Lord and the king's house. Hiram of the king of Tyre had supplied Solomon with cedar and cypress and gold as much as he desired. That King Solomon then gave Hiram 20 cities in the land of Galilee.
I have no idea how that's going to help me with the problem on my thumb.
Here's what I can say. It demonstrates that the Bible is not always helpful, or that exercise is not always helpful, because you know what? I have to say, it doesn't help me at all whatsoever. God is basically saying, fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it big in real estate.
You win.
I have.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have cities and all this shit.
Well, no, that's the thing is, King A gave Solomon, I don't remember which king it was, gave Solomon a bunch of gold, everything he wanted, and then Solomon in turn gave him 20 cities in Galilee.
Yeah.
So there was an exchange. There's a real estate exchange here. I don't understand, Yeah, anyway, it was a weird one for the question.
We don't need to go over. We need to have a Bible study.
Yeah.
Today.
You need to get your karma up speed with mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a relatively good life. I don't know what
Thank you guys for sitting in with me. I had a great episode. Please like and subscribe to Atheist Vanguard. Join the conversation in the comments down below, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.